Hello everyone, welcome to the Sportscast. It's me, Andy Grant. I've got Gary Judge with me from Across the Park podcast, and we are coming to you from a new location. We are buzzing to be in the workshop in Waterloo. It's a restaurant I'm a big fan of, especially on the Sunday for the Sunday roasts. And also, though, I can talk all day about the Sunday roasts. Some of the deals they've got on, though, are the small plates. They've got 3 plates for $15.95, Thursday to Saturday. I've not actually experienced these before. You said you've had here before, haven't you?
Lovely, yeah. Really nice, like, kind of bit of a tapas type.
Yeah, small dishes, plates. Yeah. So the deal that they've got on Thursday to Saturday is 3 plates, $15.95. They've also got, from the barbecue, Thursdays you order 2 prime cuts, 3 sides and a bottle of house wine for £50 per couple. So bring your bird down here at the workshop, Waterloo, and tell them the Leggy podcast sent you.
Mate, like,
your mate, yeah.
I haven't got a bird.
Do you mean you come?
Come on your own?
It's a couple though. It's £50 per couple.
Even better. Oh, sorry, I missed
I don't know how can. You want to do a
myself,
bottle of wine on your own?
Yeah, hey, mate.
And 2 prime cuts. Yeah, so it's the small plates deal is Thursday to Saturday, and from the barbecue is on a Thursday. And like I say, though, the roast,
hungry now.
I would say the roast on its own is just.
Do you know what? I haven't had the roast yet, but I'm dying to, just because every time I see you put a picture on of having a roast there,
it's in here.
I've already got something sorted though, and like, I can't go this week.
Well, nah, you need to get down here.
Yeah.
So we're buzzing to be here. This hopefully be the home and the start of a good working relationship with the workshop. So get following them on all the socials and get down here for especially the roast. Obviously, we've also got IGD, our sponsors, and you get 25% off if you type in Andy when at checkout. Right, it's quite a bit of sport to get through.
Yeah, unlike last week.
Yeah, I was a bit dead last week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, right, we're going to have to start with Klopp.
Really? I thought it was old news, that now. Still talking about that?
So I text Gary.
The last time I seen news like this, and it sounds terrible to bring to this level, is when Diana died. The last time that we had the nation in such mourning. That's not a laughing matter, but you know, it honestly is. I can't remember the last time I couldn't turn a channel on, whether it was the radio or the... Come on.
Do you know what, to be fair, Ian, the guy I got, by the way, it's 15 years since I got blown up on Saturday.
Is it, yeah?
So Ian, the guy I got blown up, but he did put on his Instagram, fuck me, he's not dead.
I know.
So it's not just you thinks that, even like a Scottish Rangers fan could admit that the output. But I think it is massive news though. Clearly not as big as when Diana died, but I mean, it is massive.
Yeah, it's massive. Look, no, I'm not going to say it's not. That makes me sound even more bitter than I am. But no, when I spoke to you about it, I was like, to be fair, like the shock value of it was, wow, he's actually said it. We were only talking about it last week on the podcast about.
I know.
It's on everyone.
This podcast strikes again, as in we say something in jest or just like a little pie in the sky thing, and then it comes.
Yeah.
It happens.
It is mad that, but the fact that we said it again, although as you say it's happened a few times. That when he's leaving has been on the tip of everyone's tongue for a while. He's always spoken openly about not wanting to drag things on and not wanting to be like an old man when he's a manager, wanting to retire early, etc. Whether he does retire, that if you're going to be a cynic about it,
I don't think he will. No.
But that's another conversation. Back to your point though, it was shocking. It was definitely shocking, and I was buzzing. I was absolutely buzzing. I still am buzzing because I still believe, and he's obviously showing it again recently, his ability to get every single ounce out of the players you've got and to get every ounce out of the fans, which he's done over the years as well. Not to say he's aren't good fans anyway, but the way that he's kind of just built it up to this crescendo every time he needed it is extraordinary. So you know it's huge news for you. It's basically disappointing news for you, but yeah.
I'll be honest, mate. I'm like proper gutted, like.
Oh yeah, I like don't doubt it. I'm
proper gutted, just because like we've been so spoiled these last 7-8 years. Maybe you could argue,
7-8 years.
You could argue that we've not maybe won as much because listen, we've been going against Man City. We could have maybe won more, given the team and given everything you've just said about Klopp. But I'm not so much gutted about that. I'm just gutted about what's gonna be next, because I've done the years of Roy Hodgson, and then when Houllier went off the boil, and then Rafa was great, but then he goes off the boil, and then Rodgers. This was like sustained progress almost. You know what I mean? I know there was a bit of a dip last year, but you'd always felt we're gonna win something this year, or we're gonna at least, as a fan, yeah, look, you're not going to win every single season. You just want a bit of like, you want to be in the mix, don't you? I'm under Klopp. We were in the mix pretty much every season. There was either a cup final, there was a boss run through Europe, something was going on. There was always something cooking, and I'm just scared and gutted that that's coming to an end.
I think, and this is certainly going to be met with some angry or laughing reactions from the Reds, but I think that the success element of it is somewhat overrated.
You think he hasn't won enough?
Oh yeah, I don't even think he's done close to enough. And I even look at the nature of the wins. Let's forget the Premier League one, because he's won the Premier League, and I'm not going to joke again and go it was lockdown. It didn't count, even though that's what I believe. What is it? 3 domestic cups all on penalties, 0-0 in every final, and a Champions League final against Tottenham. Like that, like compare that even to Rafa Benitez, and it's underwhelming when you put it that way. But I'll go back to the bigger point. You know, you've been, and this is the point you think you maybe mentioned to me. If it wasn't you, you've definitely said it before. You've done that in an era with a ridiculously good Man City team, the best team the Premier League has ever seen, the most well-resourced team the Premier League has ever seen, with the best coach the Premier League has ever seen. Maybe not the best manager, because I know you'll argue that Klopp's a better manager. And I also think he's always made it interesting. Like, you know what I mean? It's always been a ride. It's always been emotion filled. And as a fan, and I've been there to a lesser extent, you can have a manager who wins games for you and think, this is, but I hate this. I hate going to match. I hate listening to his press conferences. I hate his players. It's never been that, has it?
Yeah, no, I can understand the thing about the trophies. I don't really get the whole, listen, we played Chelsea twice in a final. Chelsea are not a bad side, do you know what I mean? Whether we won on pens or not, you're beating Chelsea in a League Cup final and an FA Cup final. The Champions League, yeah, it was against Tottenham. We beat Barca 4-0.
Oh, no, yeah,
so you can't kind of discredit that like that. We still beat them along the way type thing. You know, going and winning the World Club Cup, you know, I know it's, again, the opposition's a bit lesser, but just doing that, you know, for the first time. And I know what you mean, but I think you never know. City might get stripped of all their titles. I mean, I know that won't mean nothing, but it was incredibly difficult for him to win more with this City side. That's just fact. You know, you look at the season, 99 points, 97 points, losing it twice on the final day. Yeah. You know, he's been unlucky that he's just been in this time come up against Pep.
I guess you'd argue as well a win percentage over that period that I haven't looked at against.
He's got the second highest win percentage in the Prem.
Yeah, I seen Pep. Yeah, he was the He's had the second least games, hasn't he, to reach 200 wins or whatever in the Premier League as well.
In Liverpool, he beats, I think, Shankly by like 70 games to get to 200. I think the thing I wanted to just touch on is there's been so much talk about almost a conspiracy element of, is it because he's had a fallout with the owners? There's a new behind-the-scenes documentary that's going to be getting aired, you know, and he's always said he'd walk away if that ever happened. You know, is he maybe not getting the players? Is he, all these conspiracies, why has he brought it out now? Firstly, my opinion, I think, I just believe him. You know, I watched the 30-minute interview and I just genuinely think he is tired. I don't mean he looks tired. I'm not buying into the whole he looks drained or nothing like that. I don't think as fans we can comprehend just how much goes into being a manager of one of the big clubs. Like, everything he says reverberates around the world. You know, the pressure that must put on you. You know, all of that, you know, the hopes of the fans, you know, sorting out, you know, a pre-season for next year, looking at the youth academy, the players, the day-to-day, the tactics, everything like that. I just think we don't really grasp, you know, how much it is. So I genuinely do believe him, that he just wants a break, whether that's 6 months, whether that's a year, whatever. I genuinely do believe him. That's my first point. My second bit, though, is everyone saying, why now? I think it was the perfect time to announce it. And the reason I think that is, if he's made his decision in November, fair enough. The next bit is, well, when do you tell everyone? Okay, well, he hasn't told them in November. He's had to tell them now. And I think he's told them before an FA Cup game against Norwich because, one, they're expected to beat Norwich. He should beat them. If he doesn't tell them, like this week, for example, against Norwich, the next big game's against Chelsea, which is a massive game that they need to win in the Prem. So you don't really want it before the Chelsea game. If he doesn't do that, he has to do it before the Arsenal game. Again, another massive game. And then before you know it, it's the FA Cup again, and then the Europa League, the knockout stages, and then the Prem's getting even further down. You don't want to take anything away from it. So in some ways, I think it was the perfect time to say it. You've also got the added benefit that it could galvanise everyone, thinking, come on, we're going to go out and bang for him. And rather than if he'd done it at the end of the season, said, right, that's me, I'm done. So I think it's the perfect time to have announced it.
I haven't really got an opinion on the timing of it, to be honest. I think
there's a lot of people that wasn't saying, why now? It's a bit weird and there's a bit suspect something's going on. But
I haven't really got an opinion. I don't think the timing of it feeds to anything apart from, you know, that again, if you are cynical around the whole Netflix documentary, maybe it's timed for it before that's released if you're in that camp. But I haven't really got an opinion on the timing. I don't think there's ever a good time for someone like him to move on. You look at Alex Ferguson and stuff like that. And I was going to compare it to that. I think like the United fans will tell you, and I'm sure, you know, I know you've got a few mates who are United fans as well. It's not just replacing the success or whatever or the figure. It's the personality, isn't it? Yeah. And that's what.
And mate, the whole DNA of the club is Klopp.
He ran the club, didn't he?
Yeah.
And
that's what's going to be scary because, mate, the academy are playing in a certain, you know, the same way as the first. It's so, it's not worth thinking about.
Having said that, like I think from an identity in terms of the football side of it, maybe being naive, I don't think that's too difficult to replace. I think you can find a manager.
I think it is when it's such a big character. I know what you mean about, listen, the professionals, they can adapt, but...
No, I know what I mean is you're talking about the academy playing a certain way. I don't think it's that difficult to find. There's enough people now who've mimicked, copied, adapted the way that Klopp approaches the game in terms of the off-the-ball play and how intense the players put in. And the system isn't exactly in terms of the formation. You know, that gets tweaked from time to time. So I don't think that's a huge task, but I do agree with you that his involvement and the level of his enthusiasm into every aspect of the club is going to be very difficult to replicate. And
it just, even if, I mean, I know they would never go down this route, but let's just say they go for like a Jose Mourinho as a replacement. I know they would not do that, but my point is, his style of football is so different to Klopp. Do you know what I mean? Like the defensive, you said before about you've had managers. I've got a good mate who's a Chelsea fan. He gave a season ticket up when Mourinho was there because it was just boring. So, for example, if you got a manager in like that, it's so different to what the club have been used to the last 7 years.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. The experience is going to be so different for the fans, I think.
Like, well, that's what, and that's what I think.
And that's why
broke so many fans because it's been such an emotional journey. And you know, you look at even his political. I know that means fuck all when it comes to playing football, but his political beliefs. You know, he's always stood up for things. You know, and it's like the working class. Yeah, he's just. Mate, it's a sad, and I think it's a sad day. Although you probably won't want to admit it as a blue. There's loads of Blues, might not, and United fans, but it's a sad day for the Premier League.
Not if he doesn't go to another league. It's not.
It is because he's not going to be here. Whether he's sitting on a beach in Ibiza or he's managing whoever, he's not in the Premier League day to day. You're not getting his interviews. You're not getting his charisma. You're not getting his antics. You're not getting his. I think he's going to be massively missed.
I don't agree. Anyway. I don't agree. I think regardless of my opinions on the whole FFP thing and the way the Premier League are behaving at the moment, which I'll go on to in a bit, I think the Premier League's such a good product. Someone will come in, someone will take that mantle up, whether it's with Hughes or whether it's someone like an Ange Postecoglou who becomes the jokey character, or the charismatic character the Klopp's mean, which
he's got potential on here. But yeah, absolutely heartbreaking.
Just briefly, and I know obviously you shouldn't really ask this at someone's funeral, but who's your first? You know, who's your gut? Like, say, listen, I would go for him.
Well, we were speaking about it last week, which was mad, wasn't it? Xabi Alonso, the job he's doing. I don't even know, because you look at Xabi Alonso, I think he done a job, didn't he, at Sociedad? I think he got them promoted then. I'm sure he might have got them relegated.
It was the second team, though?
Yeah. Listen, the job he's doing at Leverkusen, unbelievable. But he's not won nothing yet. Listen, unbelievable job to go toe-to-toe with Bayern at the minute. He's unbeaten in all competitions. You know, fantastic. But he's managed about 70 games in his whole managerial career.
Yeah.
You know, if he ends up, we're only in February, if he gets knocked out the Europa League and finishes second in the Bundesliga, third, you know, it just feels to me like.
But the thing is, though, what do you do? Because
no, I know that.
Like, if you're gonna try and, as you were maybe suggesting before, go for someone in the same, who was in a similar position to Klopp. There's no one really about, and I'm not saying there's no one about, you know, personality-wise, whatever. Like that profile and the position he was in, where he just took Dortmund to the Champions League final. He'd pipped Bayern to a title. He'd finished second the following season, whatever it was. He managed the Mainz before then. He maybe had 200 odd games in club football, but he proved himself at a couple of different levels, and he competed at the top of Europe just before he come to Liverpool, and he was hungry. So to have all them ingredients, you're not going to get. So I think you're going to have to, and that's the problem. And United again have seen that, haven't they? You'd either take someone who you know you're going to get success from, or you take someone who's hungry, you know, like a Ten Hag or whatever. Because to be fair, it's probably a similar. Although Alonso, you know, played for you and he's got that affinity with the club, you probably put him alongside the Ten Hag in terms of saying he's had one good season.
Yeah.
Is that really going to make him?
Alonso to me feels like, you know, and I know the comparison there just because it's Germany, but you just made a great point there about what Klopp done with Dortmund. It almost feels like Alonso's doing that with Leverkusen, but the difference is Klopp done it with Mainz, got them promoted, and then I think he got relegated. But then he was in and amongst it, getting his experience.
He's vindicated.
And then he's done the Dortmunds, and he's done it a few times though. So it's like, I get what you mean about it, but there's just not the experience there that Klopp added it, which with the point that you make, and that's what I think is really, really difficult. I also think whoever manager comes in,
I haven't got long, by the way. It's not long, is it?
No. And the other manager is they're going to recruit like a director of football, and he's got to bring in all the same people. It's a mammoth task to do, and I just don't know who there is out there. I genuinely like.
Obviously, you mentioned it briefly at the start of the piece. All the backroom staff are leaving as well. At the same time, though, Klopp has talked up Pep Linders. Is he someone that you'd welcome just on the basis that he's got that ability to potentially continue the job?
Yeah,
he knows Everton.
I think he'll still interview for the job. I think he will, but I think it feels like a little bit going back to an X type thing. It never normally works. It does sometimes, but never normally works.
And also, as it has been seen a lot in the last few years, and it's been disproved very little. Being a number two is very different to being a.
Yeah, well, he's already had a little stint. If you remember, he went off to Holland. I'm sure he did, and had a little go and then come back because he didn't do very well. And I just think, although they've not split, if you've been at Liverpool as a number two and had great success, and then you've come in as the main man, I know it's not like going back to an X, but it's not quite the same, is it? You haven't got the same like.
The biggest thing,
I mean?
The biggest thing I would say, and having been there at a lower level and like a kind of 16s, 18s level and stuff, it's obviously different to working with senior pros. Is when you're a number two, your job is to kind of G up the players and to have them little clicky relationships, and you're doing these sessions, you're putting these sessions on the players enjoy, and you're having a bit of banter with them. Then the boss turns up, and the tempo changes, the mood changes. You've got to kind of try and wipe that clean, and then you look at it and go, "That's not you."
Yeah.
You've got to put an act on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're either saying that was an act before, or this is an act now. But either way, the players are like, exactly. So
not genuine.
That's the thing for me that I would worry if that was going to be the choice. I don't think you'd see an immediate dip because the players would be like, "Sam, this is the sameness." But the minute you'd have a loss or a bad defeat, or it was a time that the players need to show some character, or he did. I think that's when he'd lose the plot a bit.
I think as well. It's worked. I think why people would look at him is, one, he's obviously done really well under Klopp, but people straight away talk about Shankly to Paisley, don't they? And how it was just about
it's a different world then, though,
no, of course, yeah. But the whole thing used to be, listen, football's moved on a lot.
The boot room and all.
But they used to just say, didn't they? They'd turn up and go, right, just do what you did for Shankly for me, and it was just like, right, same again. Like, you can't do that. It's like you can't just go, right, come on, let's do what you done for Klopp. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to work like that. So.
And plus as well, them days, and again, without everyone knows what I mean about it's different game, but you'd have the same squad there for about 5 years, got no one to leave. You only have 14 players you're working with. It's just
it's depressing.
Yeah.
What wasn't depressing? What wasn't depressing was Liverpool's performance against Chelsea. Don't know if you've seen it. I was at the game.
Yeah, did you?
Genuinely, the best 45 minutes I've seen us play in years. They had one shot on goal, which was in like the 47th minute.
Should have had a pen, but still. By the way.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. Mate, there was two, by the way.
I seen them.
The one at the end was
I think it would have been harsh. Van Dijk both.
Listen, decisions aside, I think they were both sloppy challenges. However, you were brilliant.
Yeah,
and it was a bit of a throwback, I thought. Sounds like I thought it was old school, like Klopp energy, just pure relentless pressure, and I thought Jota was as good as Firmino was back in the day.
Yeah.
He reminded me of that in terms of the way he pressed from the front, and I'm a big fan of Jota. I am. He's outstanding, but I think his off the ball where goes unnoticed sometimes. And last night he was getting, they were waxing lyrical about that, the commentators.
Yeah.
He was a big factor.
I'm glad you said that about the energy though, because literally every time Chelsea got the ball, I don't think they strung more than 4 or 5 passes together.
Yeah.
And then Liverpool had the ball back. And it was just a proper, I mean, it's not a complete performance when you concede, but it was as close to a complete performance all season. Best performance of the season.
You conceded when you took 4 players off or whatever.
Yeah, so the rhythm was lost a little bit.
Yeah.
I actually said to the lads last night, it was Muskie, our producer, I said, apart from the 66th to I think the 76th minute, as Muskie pointed out to me, that was when the changes happened. Apart from that 10 minutes, we were near perfect. It was such an unbelievable performance. And it's got to give us massive confidence now going into Arsenal.
I had a bet builder, and the only thing that let me down.
Don't say Nunez.
Nunez scoring.
He was probably the only. Listen, now we got an assist at the end, which was great.
He absolutely burned my head out last night.
Yeah, no, he annoyed me because he just needed. You know what? He needed to score that pen.
Just chill out. He's just it's like there's too much testosterone running through his body.
He's had one of my injections, hasn't he?
He has to it's like he tries to smash it in the top corner every single time.
Yeah, no, that
it's like any striker will tell you. I say any striker, I'm not a striker, but strikers who've scored for years and whatever say, look, just hit the target. And I know it's
no, mate, that pen.
Trying to put it.
Listen, Mo's not here. He's got the potential to be the main man. Come on, there's not a better chance for you to score.
He'd send the keeper as well.
I know Mo's missed a few pens, by the way, but I think
he'd give the keeper the eyes. The keeper its eye, just roll it in.
That was a mess because and I know it didn't matter with the result, but you go in there 3-0. You go in at half time 3-0 up. You're like, wow, what a performance, and it was just a little bit like, oh fucking hell. And he
broke the record last night, by the way.
And it stops this chat, doesn't it?
He broke a record for you for the most shots without scoring in a game.
Really? Fucking Nunez had half of them, I would imagine. But it was just, if he puts that pen away, it stops this chat. You're not turning off, fucking hell, what's Nunez done now? Captain Chaos, my ass. He just needs to score.
But he was great, going back to the first point, he was a big part of the energy and everything though as well. He was so difficult for Chelsea to deal with. Yeah. That high line. And I think he was on the shoulder so often, he was just killing them in behind.
I think, and someone might correct me, but I'm thinking he's got, he's either a goal or an assist every 90 minutes. So, you put him in your start 11 and you're getting a goal, whether it's him or an assist. So, he's playing great, but fuck me, he just needs to score. And then also, since last weekend, we had the FA Cup as well, didn't we?
Norwich.
Yeah, Norwich, yeah. Took me little girl, actually. That was great to see that after the news, obviously. Yeah, pretty kind of standard performance. You boys, though, were knocked out.
Yeah, it was an abject performance. It was lifeless on the pitch after, but it just seemed like a game. Like you'd ask, I don't know if you'd asked me or I just said it myself about do we need this? Is it like?
Yeah, I thought your answer was fair, really, in what you said, but I don't know. Was it change your mind?
No, I didn't. If you remember, I answered saying, "Look, I want to win the game." I said, if someone give me the choice of, you can go out here and focus on the league and it's going to give us a better chance of staying up, then yeah. But ultimately, at the end, I said, look, it's the FA Cup. I want to win. I don't want to go out.
I also remember you saying
the psychological advantage of
if Luton put you out, gives them a bit of momentum.
And he went on and beat Brighton 4-0.
They win 4-0 at Brighton. So you're right in what you said.
And the bigger psychological advantage, if you like, and I was speaking to you on the phone about this the other day, is the home form's been brilliant. They haven't been great away from home. They've now won twice at Goodison. And their manager, will be spinning that narrative of, look, Everton with their 10 points are a mid-table team. We beat them twice. So why can't we go and beat the other mid-table teams? And if they do, they're suddenly putting us in a position where we're going to have to try and peg back a Forest or a Brentford.
Yeah. I think if they win the game in hand, you're 4 points behind them.
Yeah, I mean, the consolation is we have sucked in Brentford and Forest now as well. They're really struggling to bear.
The only thing with Brentford, Tony's back in, so I think
they've had them 2 games.
2 games. I think before long. I mean, he had played Spurs though, didn't he? I think they'll start. And by the way, what's his name? Who used to play for yous? He scored.
Morpay.
How does he score for Brentford and he just never scored ever for you?
You know what? It's sometimes. Most Evertonians, and I wouldn't correct them, would say he's just a terrible forward. But
for Brentford.
If you're a 5'9" forward, with respect, playing under Sean Dyche, there's not much down for you. He wasn't great under Lampard either, by the way.
But I do think though, if he can,
he's a player who plays up with someone else.
If he's playing up front with Tony,
Yeah.
And imagine Brentford to start. I like the manager as well. I think they'd start pulling themselves
And he's invariably plays. He's either plays with Tony or he's plays with Wisser or the other fella. So he's invariably played up with someone. He didn't really get that chance at Everton. Sometimes it's just not a fit, is it? And the ironic thing would be obviously if his goals ends up keeping Brentford above us and we end like that'd just be typical Everton.
I mean, Forrester's the one that maybe you can claw them back.
I'm not convinced by Nuno, to be honest. I don't think it was a great appointment in the first place, and they actually look like the one thing they had going for them under Cooper is they were doing well at home, and they were beating bigger sides at home. Now they just look dull and boring and lifeless, and seems to have sucked all the energy out of the forward players that were actually doing all right. But we'll see.
And all this then talk does affect your club, Everton. So they knocked out, obviously, the FA Cup, got the league, but it's, again, more stuff. That's what's going on off the pitch, really, is probably more concerning. As we speak, the appeal's going on for the next couple of days, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then we expect a decision in mid-February, I hear, so whether the appeal's been, whether the 10 points been overturned. And then I'll let you get on your rant.
No, the appeal wasn't supposed to be heard till the middle of February.
Oh, yeah, go on. We spoke about this on the phone, so you explain because I didn't actually know this.
So Everton were told, and again, Everton were told, as was everyone else, that our appeal wouldn't be heard until at the earliest the middle of February. The DCMS, Department for Culture, Media and Sport, after a lot of pressure from the media, etc., and scrutiny, sent a letter to the Premier League saying that they required to see the minutes of the meeting that was held in August to decide what they believed the punishment should be for Everton. The reason they said this is that the Premier League, and Richard Masters in particular, had come out and referred to a formula that was applied to Everton. The immediate response from everyone was, what's the formula? And Richard Masters said, we discussed that in our meeting in August. Again, the response was, so where's the minutes for that meeting? And he said, his words were, they're very clunky, so we haven't released them. So then the Department for Culture, Media and Sport in the Houses of Parliament come out and said, well, we're now demanding to the Premier League that they release these minutes because it's bringing the competition into disrepute. It's potentially victimising one club. Look, these minutes could be normal minutes, and they could be blah blah blah.
Be interesting to know though how they come out with this
why would you not release it? So so there's that. The Department of Culture, Media and Sport said release the minutes. We're going to give you till the 6th of February to release these minutes. So the Premier League they acknowledge the letter. We've now decided we're going to hear Everton's hearing in the next 3 days.
Before you can see the minutes?
Before the 6th of February. So the hearing will be over by the end of this week, at which point Everton only get one chance to appeal. So we can't appeal again. And then the minutes will be released next week. So regardless of how damning or how embarrassing those minutes are, then our appeal will have already been heard and we can't use them as evidence. The only positive I've put on it, and maybe someone's seen this the other way and might be able to correct me here, but if those minutes are as embarrassing as they seem to be, because why wouldn't you have just released them? Why wouldn't that just be send? You know what I mean? Get it out the folder, send. There's no way that I'd like to think an organisation the size of the Premier League would have not had them minutes recorded and sitting in a file somewhere. Why would you not release them? So I can only assume there's something in there that's a little bit awkward or a little bit...
Do you think, though, and I'm not taking a piss when I say this, though, because I agree, actually, with you, it's something dodgy's going on there, or it sounds dodgy anyway, but do you think, though, there is a little bit of a lot of Blues kind of going down the conspiracy kind of route? Because, you...
Well, no, listen, the only thing I'd say...
There just seems to be everyone like a victim kind of, don't
you start that.
What I mean is... It's like the Premier League's corrupt. You see it all around Goodison, County Road, the corrupt Premier League things. Do you not think it's just a bit like,
But they're giving us reason to, though.
I know, but I even see Everton don't get a, they haven't had a pen in so long. It's like, fucking Premier League's corrupt. Liverpool won again.
By the way, though, did you see the game?
I don't think it was handball.
It wasn't handball. His arms out here. And he said it was by his side. But look,
my point being,
that just adds fuel to the fire. Look.
Seems to be though.
One thing I'll say, look, and if you don't agree with me on this, you're just completely blind. Fans will believe what they want to believe. Fans are very fickle, and they'll jump on the bandwagon very quickly if they think there's something that they can get behind. Equally, we're in a culture, certainly in society, where people will believe whatever they hear, whatever they read, and they want to be angry about things. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not going to say that the club haven't rode that wave a little bit and went, okay, well, let's let the fans build this momentum. They've done it, you know, wherever last season when we pretty much carried the team through, when we started all the coach stuff, and it was like, all right, well, let's let the fans get carried away here and let it mask all the shite that's going on in the background. There's no two ways about it. The club have been dreadful here. The management of the club has been horrendous. We've been guilty of the charge. We just want to know what the...
But that's
we
all
want a clear and transparent reason why it's 10 points.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And we want to see that precedent then carried forward to other people, and we want to see other people. The fact that hasn't happened, the fact the Premier League can't find or believe it's necessary to not provide the formula that they've come up with. It's like you getting convicted, right, of whatever crime it was, and then the judge going, so yeah, you've been found guilty, you're getting 10 years, and that's it. And you're like, why? We haven't...
Yeah, there's no precedent of rules yet.
You've never... and he said, oh, you've been found guilty, and then your lawyer stands up and goes, well, why is that, judge? And he goes, well, I applied a formula in the back office. See you later. What was the formula? They'd normally go, for the reason that you've done X, Y, and Z, and I've actually referred to this and I've referred to that. They haven't done that.
No, I totally understand.
And maybe this will come out in the appeal.
And maybe one of the reasons I'm kind of poking you a bit, because I remember being aggrieved at Man City's 115, and you were a bit just like, well, one of them, innit?
Oh no, and listen, I don't blame you for laughing. I don't blame you for smirking about it. I don't blame you for taking the piss around. Premier League are corrupt now. That applies to you. Listen, no problem with that. The shoe is on the other foot. I'd be doing exactly the same, and I have done the same as you've just said. One of my mates today was saying, like, who's a Red, and obviously on the winds up, saying, listen, if we got billionaire owners tomorrow who wants to go and splash the money like City, I'd be saying get rid of financial fair play. So, you know, it's always...
Dude, the only thing I meant, and I genuinely was poking you a bit, but I do mean it as well, is, yeah, the Premier League may be corrupt, and yes, you can kind of say, oh, they've got it in against us and all that, which then becomes a little bit, like you say, for the fans, get wound up, it becomes a bit of a conspiracy. At the end of the day, your club is poorly run and broke rules. I know what you're saying about the fines and all that, but that's the be all and end all, really, in my eyes. That's where the book should stop, really. It's like, if you didn't do that, you just wouldn't have all this fiasco going on.
No, that's
do you know what I mean?
That's fair.
So it's going to be an interesting week or two, isn't it, really?
Absolutely, yeah.
Talking about Man City, their CEO moved to United.
Yeah.
Which I think was mad, because speaking about financial fair play, you know, we could have, I don't think this will happen, but you could have a point where their CEO, Man United's CEO, is giving evidence against Man City. Or for Man City, depending on and how will that be dealt with. I just think it's bizarre in this day and age, with a club and a group the size of Man City, that somehow their CEO has been allowed to walk away and join not only 5 minutes down the road to the rivals, not even the rivals in terms of City rivalry, one of the rivals for being the biggest club in the city in the world. You know, they're in the same market space, aren't they, for everything? And it's like the CEO of Nike going to Adidas. Yeah, nobody. Yeah, and you just wouldn't, especially without surely non-compete, you know, confidentiality. Yeah, you know, how's he not had to serve been on gardening leave or had to put a notice in? It's bizarre. It just makes you think again down the conspiracy rabbit hole. Whether he's threatening them. Let me leave. Let me leave. Or I'm just going to tell everyone. Yeah, but it's like, can he see the writing on the wall? And he's thinking, I need to get out of here. I need a parachute. Yeah. But saying that though, even if he can't see the writing on the wall, he's going to get dragged up in it anyway, isn't he? But yeah, absolutely bizarre. It's just a bizarre story, isn't he? Like Pep coming out and talking about it and saying, I wish him well, and he's a great guy, he's a lovely individual, you know, we had a good chat. And he was saying, he said it was a bit of a tongue-in-cheek comment, but he basically said, if he goes and turns that club around, they should name a stand after him. Basically saying that's a mess. Is that what he said? Yeah. Wow. In a press conference. Yeah, I just thought that was mad how they've allowed him to do that. Yeah. One thing I've seen, actually, just on back to Everton a second, on Sean Dyche, he's got the highest win record in his career, the win percentage. He's got the highest win record of his career, yeah. On Everton. Wouldn't surprise me. I mean, look,
his argument would be he's working with slightly better resources than he has before, and he'll keep doing that as a manager. Most managers will tell you, won't they, who've managed lower teams and never had a chance at a bigger team. They will always say that they can, and that comes at a time that he's lost a few games as well.
Yeah, no, I thought that was interesting. So yeah, go back to Man United. You spoke a little bit about it. You actually called it, to be fair. Again, you seem to have called quite a few things on this pod about the dressing room, really, at Man United. Rashford went over to Belfast, I think it was on Wednesday, was due to come back Thursday night. He's had a few too many pints, couldn't be arsed getting his flight, so he put his private jet back a little bit later and ends up getting home early hours Friday morning. Was due to go to training in prep for the FA Cup game and called in sick, i.e. had a fucking hangover.
Yeah.
And he's been in the headlines all for the wrong reasons. Before I touch on Rashford and himself in Man United, what I will say is why in this day and age, 2024, do people not know about, I'm not even going to name it, the scum, the newspaper. Why are people still going to them for stories and getting paid knowing that
Kyle Walker's on it.
I know.
Kyle Walker's on it in the week as well.
Why people are doing interviews with them and ringing up, grassing people up through that fucking newspaper makes me sick. Like, people know what that newspaper's about. It's there to wreck lives, cause misery, tell lies, horrible. And then you had a girl who was in the restaurant or the nightclub that Marcus was in, ringing them up, giving her version of events. I just think you are the lowest of the low for doing that.
I mean, we'll come on to Kyle Walker in a minute, but it generally speaks more for the people who are contacting them, doesn't it, to them, than it does to that newspaper. So
yeah, so he got nicked because he would have got caught anyway. But there was a girl, more than happy to singing like a canary about it, everything what he done, and then we'll come on to him in a minute. But again, Kyle Walker's had a few issues going on, and his first point of call is to go to the same newspaper and give his version of events. I don't fucking get it. It breaks me. Anyway, but on to Rashford. I mean, you called it ages ago. You said that he's lost the dressing room.
I think that's a word that's thrown about. I may have used that word, but what I meant, and I think I explained myself at the time.
You don't think he has though?
I think the dressing room's gone anyway. I think there's bigger problems than the players down and tools and that manager. And I'm actually, I've got a lot of respect for Man United not getting rid of him, because I don't think it changed. I think they've realised now we can't change the manager again, and I think that's going to change. Apart from a short term, I mean, you look back at the manager actually who's been most successful the last few years has been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I think that's because he allowed them to just get away with whatever, and they can't have half wins. Let's play for them because we're having a good time here. So let's kind of make sure that we turn up on a Saturday, because we don't want this to end and some grouch to come in and start pushing us about. Ten Hag's come in and went, what's going on here?
You're not doing that, yeah.
And he's literally went, that's not on, that's not on, that's not on. He's obviously had it out with Sancho, he's moved him on. That's kind of sent out a message, but it's also Sancho's in the clique.
Not just Sancho, Ronaldo, it started.
Yeah. Well, it did start with Ronaldo, you're right, but it was for different reason with Ronaldo. I think that was a footballing decision.
No, but I actually think that's had an impact though on the players, because if you've got Ronaldo there, one of the best players in the world, probably ever.
Yeah, but it's the point I'm saying, just before you come in, around not losing the dressing room. I think he's tried to change the culture and flip it from the players making all the decisions, calling the shots, to go, no, it's not how it works. We've got rules here. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're Ronaldo, Sancho, Rashford. You play by my rules. You play by the rules I set out. And I think that you could say he's lost the dressing room with that. I think it's just some of them are just not playing by his rules. And I think if you're playing well under a certain manager in that particular situation, you think, well, I'm not gonna do anything for now. But the minute you're not playing well, you choose to try and join the other camp then and go, well, I reckon Sancho's thought, and this is the point he wants to finish on. Sancho's thought he's bigger than Ten Hag, and therefore, if he picks an argument with me now, and he's done it with Sancho, and he's got rid of Ronaldo, surely that'll be the last nail in the coffin for him.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the point I'm making. There's been a kind of culture in there, whether it was started from Solskjaer or not, where Ronaldo, one of the biggest characters I can imagine in the dressing room you can have, someone who has a massive impact on all those younger players, if you like, he's gone. And I think, for example, Sancho, what they're getting away with and how they are and stuff like that, it's just a bit like, I can almost imagine Ten Hag's like, bollocking Ronaldo and Ronaldo's sitting here with Sancho and Rashford going, fuck off your tit.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now so Ronaldo's gone, but the same Sancho and Rashford are there like, fuck off your tit. It's that kind of attitude. And then Sancho's thought, I'll get away with it. It's been fucked off. Rashford, and I hear he's apologised, but it's that kind of inherent now thing where of whatever.
Do you know what?
I feel a bit harsh on Ten Hag because it's like, what can you do? Because he's tried to do the right thing, put the rules in place. He's tried to discipline players, but to me, it's not working because Rashford. This is the third or fourth thing, maybe this season or in the last 18 months, where he's either late or he's missing or whatever. And to me, if it's working what he's doing and he's kind of changing the culture, which he needs to, if it's working, Rashford's not doing that.
So no, you're right. You're spot on. I think the easiest like analogy for it, and everyone will be able to like resonate with this, is we've all been in school and we've had a substitute teacher.
Yeah.
And there's no lower level of respect than a substitute gets.
I actually feel bad, when I think back to
but there's no lower level of respect there than the people have for a substitute teacher. And the reason is they're leaving in about an hour's time. You're never going to see them again. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying United players have treated the recent managers like it, but
I think they have.
There's that's what I mean. There's that level of disdain almost and lack of like, as if to say, you're going to be here 2 minutes, right? Don't give.
And I think they've looked at how fast United have turned managers over.
Yeah, exactly.
And they've thought,
here's another one. Here's another one.
Yeah.
He's a divvy until someone walks in. And I'm not saying I don't think Ten Hag is this man, but until a substitute teacher walks in and you throw rubber at them or whatever, you do all that. Next day they're there again. Blah blah blah. Third day they're there again, and then like, the head teacher comes in and goes, "He's staying," and you're like, no." Yeah.
And maybe that's
your card's marked then already, and you're like,
maybe that's with the owners here, the Jim Ratcliffe thing. Maybe that's part of it to say, look, the substitute teacher's staying. And that's maybe where it's at.
And I think, and that's why I say I've got a lot of time for United not getting rid of them, and that might be partially because they can't afford to, don't want to, whatever. But I think the best thing, and Jim Ratcliffe will know this from business, the best thing they can do now is let these win. Let these divvies win. And the United fans are onto Rashford now. And I think half of them are onto Sancho to a certain extent. So I think the best thing he can do now is keep Ten Hag for as long as possible until he's got rid of all the divvies. And then they go, okay, all right, thanks Eric, you've done a decent job. Now we're bringing in someone who's got a clean slate now. Yeah. The people who you brought in, the biggest problem and the biggest thing that Ten Hag's done wrong, which is not an obvious thing to state, is his recruitment's been so crap. Yeah. If he'd have brought in players who upped the level in terms of like...
Do you know what? It sounds silly, but if he'd got someone in the likes of a James Milner or a Jordan Henderson who kind of set the standards like that, I don't think they'd have a problem.
I know. That's been his biggest problem, because I've got a lot of time for the fact he's
trying to bring discipline and order in.
But then you bring in Anthony in, do you know what I mean, as his marquee signing. As you say, if he's brought in like a top pro.
Yeah, it's almost a little bit like Rashford and Sancho almost fancied themselves a bit like Ronaldo, where Ronaldo maybe could get away with stuff because he's Ronaldo. And Sancho and Rashford are a bit like,
But they're probably like, we're better than him.
Yeah.
Like, and he's your main man, is that it? And you lose a bit. So, yeah.
It's interesting times for them.
It is.
And the other, I shouldn't laugh at this because it's people's lives, but it is a mad one. Carl Walker's been forced again. Don't know why he went to that newspaper, but he's went to that newspaper and apologised and basically put his cards on the table. He's somehow managed to not just cheat on his wife, not just he's had an affair, not just have one kid
outside. Yeah.
He's had 2 kids outside of marriage. I mean, that takes some doing, doesn't it?
My wife had told me about this ages ago. Wow. Ages ago, about the first one. And I was like, when they tell you the gossip they read in whatever they're reading, like Daily Mail or whatever magazine, I'm like, oh yeah, sounds. Not really bothered. I'm not bothered until you start seeing it like come onto the pitch or, actually makes it. I'm like, well, whatever. And then when she told me about the second one, but she was telling me like some of the backstory, and again, I might be misquoting or misrepresenting this, but I'm pretty sure
I don't know the backstory.
The backstory, well, I don't know all the backstory, but the bit that I found it like funny.
Immediately Googles what's happened.
Yeah. No, it was she was saying about the girl that he'd been with outside, he's had the affair with.
Is it the same girl he's got the
same
2
girl?
Kids with?
Yeah, same girl with the 2 kids. So he obviously told his wife about it, came out, blah blah. At first he left his wife and got with her.
Wow.
Got with it and stuff.
And
then kind of said to his wife, oh no, had a bit of a mad moment, coming back to you now. She's a zivvy or whatever. Then obviously got back, settled down with his wife again. Then got back with this girl again. Obviously got with her. Didn't get with her relationship wise. Obviously knocked her up. tried to cover it up. This girl then went to his wife and basically sent her the messages that Carl Walker had said to her and said, "You're getting hooked off. He's coming to me," and all that. She's then went to Carl Walker and, "What's going on here?" And he's like, but he said, hasn't he?
Tried to force a move to Bayern.
Yeah.
I don't know what moving to Germany would have done to this problem, by the way.
You need to lose some Mars if you're going to try and get away from that, mate.
I've got a wife. And
I'm going to change my number and move to Germany. I'll be all right. You won't find me there.
That'll work, Carl, yeah. No one knows you, mate.
You'll see it only see it on Eurosport every week or BT or whatever they're playing on. Idiot. Just absolutely.
I don't feel sorry for him, but I feel for the situation he's got himself in. Mate, again, I need to check whether your balls are fucking hairy or crystal, because you've looked into them and you managed to pick the Australian Open winner. You called Sinner, and he done it. He put my man Novak out. First time, what was the stat? The
first time Novak Djokovic in 732 Grand Slam matches that he didn't have a break point. Not one break point.
Games, it might have been.
Games, yeah. Yeah, in 732 games, he didn't have a break point. Didn't even have a chance to break his serve.
It's crazy, that.
That's ruthless, isn't it?
The only thing I'll say about my man is he did go into with a wrist injury.
Yeah, he did say that at the start. I mean, look, your man is... It's not like you're trying to... Not like it's Everton against Liverpool, is it?
No, he is my favourite.
I mean, in your defence as well, I'd watched quite a lot of the games, and I'd watched Sinner. Djokovic didn't look like he was firing. I think the injury was definitely there in the background, but Sinner, brought his A game. Djokovic was injured, and he absolutely dismantled him. And everyone will appreciate this. What was most impressive about it is just how he held his nerve. There was it didn't look like he was feeling the pressure. Obviously, showed it again.
22, is he?
Yeah, showed it again in the final against Medvedev. Who I'm absolutely broken hearted for, though, because once again,
you said second time he'd been 2-0 up.
Yeah,
and he didn't win.
Against 3 years ago, I think, against Nadal in the Aussie Open as well. He was 2 sets up and lost it 3-2.
Do you think that's a mental thing there with him?
It definitely is, definitely. But one thing I will say, to maybe just discredit that claim, he broke a record for the most amount of hours on court for any player in a Grand Slam ever.
Yeah, but to me that says he's not putting them away in 3 sets.
Oh yeah, it does. But he must have been so exhausted. You imagine you're 2 sets up, so close to the line, and then your opponent gets one back, starts to wear you down. It's like it's probably a combination of physical and some mental exhaustion, I think. But it was to be fair, the first time, as you said, going into the semis, really competitive, highly competitive semi-finals, and a brilliant final. And I think my next question, which I added to the mix now, is this the changing of the guards, if you like, or a new dawn? You've obviously got Alcaraz in there that I haven't mentioned, but you've got Alcaraz, who's 20, 21, Sinner's 22, Zverev's 26, Medvedev's a little bit older.
Well, I think it's what's maybe maybe what I'm about to say is unfair on them, but I think it's a little bit. It's not so much that it's a changing of the guard in a sense that these 4 players, maybe Alcaraz maybe is, but I wouldn't say that they're better.
No,
it's just the fact that they're getting older.
It is, yeah. No, but the point is, there was going to be a stage, like 3 years ago, if I asked you the question, is that the new...
You couldn't see anyone, miles off. Yeah.
And you're right, it's a combination of them getting older, them getting better. And I'm not suggesting for a second that any of those 4 names, maybe Alcaraz, but I don't even put him in the mix.
Will ever replicate what they've done.
And it's not just the ability, is it? It's the personality. It's everything he brought with it, the rivalry, and one of them being a specialist on one court, the others being another. All that.
That record that they had, and I think it was broken, wasn't it? Not this year, or was it not? Might have been the French or something. But there was one of the Grand Slams where
with all of them.
It was the first time, for like
someone
20 odd years.
Someone other than them has won it,
which was mad. But new dawn and some great players, and hopefully some great battles that'll start progressing. And you'd like to think those kind of 4 names will be in the mix, won't they? Of all the semis and the Grand Slam finals and stuff. I've seen Andy Murray come out today as well, or might have been the last couple of days, and said that he kind of hit back at critics a little bit after he had a winless 2023. And it just made me think as I was driving in here today, it's so hard for a tennis player, I think, to kind of retire on top. In any sport, to be fair, in life, it's like, the right time to leave a party. It's like, in life, the whole thing of when's the right time to hand the towel, throw the towel in. I feel a bit sorry for him because he's kind of hit back, and someone said something, he's come back and said, no, I'm going to fight harder and stuff. But you've kind of got to say, look, you can't retire as number one, can you?
No.
In tennis.
No,
you know, in boxing you can.
You'd be mad too, yeah.
In most sports you can retire and go, right, look, I'm at the top, I've done it, I'm out. In tennis you just go shitter and shitter.
Unless you had like a career, an injury that was like you're number one, for example, and your cruciate ligament goes in at a final, and you're like, look, that's I can never ever get back there, for I might as well just quit. But that's just doesn't happen.
No, exactly. Which is unfortunate, isn't it? Because I think for someone who has been super competitive, to go further and further down the rankings and then have to kind of fight back at people and say, no, I'm going to win again. It's just a little bit like you're not, though, mate.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Which is unfortunate. But I just think he should retire. But he's come out fighting, saying, look, I want to crack on, so wait and see, watch this space.
It's similar to footy in that sense, isn't it? Very few football players go out, like, and maybe not number one, do you know what I mean? But like tennis, but I think a lot of football players kind of drag it on too much, don't they? There's very few.
I can only name one player.
Retire after winning the Champions League, for example, and the league and being the captain or something.
It's such a fascinating subject, I think, of when to leave and stuff. I think Jamie Carragher done it really well.
Yeah.
He kind of. I think for me, the perfect way to leave something is leave people wanting more. I think Klopp's doing it now. I think Jamie Carragher done it when he retired. I don't think there's that many people who leave at the right time.
No.
It's such a hard thing to kind of master, and to be able to be okay with yourself, you know, to kind of feed the ego enough, but not too much, and just be like, you know what, I'm happy. But yeah, it's an interesting one. We'll finish off on boxing, mate. A couple of things in snooker. I seen Ronnie. He's dropped out of the German Masters. It was last week. It went on.
Not Robbie.
No, Robbie.
He strokes on his notes, Robbie.
Ronnie.
I was thinking who's Robbie.
Robbie Williams is playing snooker now. Ronnie, and not kind of a big story, but I just think it's just become normalised, which I suppose is a good thing for someone to say, you know what, my well-being's a bit more important.
And I think in fairness to him, and you know, he took a decision to do that, so he deserves credit for it as well. The documentaries give him that like opportunity now, isn't it, to go, look, most of these have seen what I'm like. Yeah. You know, I don't have to hide it. I'm not in a good place, therefore it's the right thing for me. It's the right thing for snooker. Yeah. You know, and I
think it's good that you can just be a bit more open, say,
like
look, you know
what?
It's
an injury, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know, it's an injury in exactly the same way.
In the F1, there was some massive news as well.
Huge.
Lewis Hamilton is leaving Mercedes and joining Ferrari. Loads of talk, as I was listening on the radio then, is reasons for it. I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of money. That'll be one of the reasons.
You can't beat them.
And then the other reason is he's after this 8th title. He obviously doesn't think that Mercedes is going to give him that 8th world title. He's jumping to Ferrari. I mean, you can kind of romanticize about, it's like, you know, I think his childhood hero was someone who drove a Ferrari or something, and it's like, it's the red. And for me, I personally always think of like a Ferrari if I think of an F1 car. So you can kind of romanticize it. But listen, he's going there because he doesn't think he's going to win in Mercedes, and he wants to win with Ferrari. It then just throws up a whole mix of, because if you watch F1 Drive to Survive, the politics that goes in that and the team, it's fascinating. And this just adds an extra bit of spice to it, because Charles Leclerc's just already signed a massive deal. So them two go on head to head on who's going to be number one.
You can only assume that's been engineers in the deal, can't you? Like, because.
But would he be number one if he went in?
No, I don't think he would. I don't think he would. I almost think, like, I mean, I don't know well enough in terms of the you know, Lewis Hamilton must have an agent, mustn't he? Whether his agent looks after the things that a footy agent or other sports stars agents do, but he must have an agent. I almost feel like it's, look, go and put the feelers out, see what I can do with blah blah blah. He went to Ferrari and he went, look, we've already done this deal here, it's a bit awkward, we can't go back on it, but we'll give him, what we will do is we'll give him every chance. If he suddenly starts, you know, winning races and stuff, then he will be the main man. And in fact, I think in that type of sport, if you are Charles Leclerc and you know, Hamilton ends up winning the first 3 Grand Prix, you'd have to just go, well, look, suddenly I'm not the main man anymore, because you've got the Constructors' Championship obviously is a factor, but the objective of any team is to have the number one man. So he wouldn't be able to argue with that, was he?
The other big question is though whether he can even do anything anyway with Red Bull and Max Verstappen.
Yeah,
he doesn't look like stopping, but definitely something to look at.
Much better chance.
The F1 starts again. I mean, we finish off on boxing. I know you're more the expert of it than me. Big one this weekend, Aziz and Buatsi. Yeah,
superb card to be fair. Brilliant headline on the cards. Aziz and Buatsi, good gym mates. A highly competitive division anyway. Interestingly, the same division as Callum Smith, who looks like on other news, which has been less promoted at this time, he's determined to fight on.
Really?
He thinks that the domestic fights have got a lot to offer for him, which I think they have. It's a packed division. So he's kind of surrendered. Is it not for him though?
Just on that though, is it not? If Callum, has the defeat that he did have, and then drops down to someone like a...
But it's not... The other factor is, and other people will be more aware of this than us, but Beterbiev's probably going to move up again. So he maybe vacates the titles in that division. Does he then look around and go, well, actually, I can... Certainly in the next year or so, I'd be surprised that Beterbiev sticks around at this weight. He's obviously the wrong size of 39 as well.
Yeah.
So, Callum's still young, do you know what I mean? Relatively young. So, it seems, unless he has a major change of heart, I think what Callum, in my mind, would love to have now, after all this period of the last 3 years where he's hardly fought, is a period of activity and go, okay, well, fight. I think he knows that the fight is looking around him. You look at Aziz and Buatsi, he's easily comfortable in that company. And I think he'd love to just get out there, be active, connect with the fans a bit more. He hasn't really had that, has he? No, he's not. He admittedly, from a personality point of view, he's maybe not. He hasn't put himself in the shop window, has he? But he hasn't had the chance. So the reason I mention it, because they're in the same division, that'll be an absolute barnstorm. As I say, the gym mates, Aziz and Buatsi, and the gloves are off thing was dead interesting, because there's no beef between them. They're both basically saying we're going to do whatever
respectful in that way.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Buatsi's the favourite, but Aziz is the man who seems a bit more like he's playing the underdog cards, and I think it'll be a great fight. I think it goes the distance. I actually fancy Aziz at a decent price to nick it over the distance. Yeah, I just think he's got a bit. Seems to me like he's got a bit more. He just wanted a bit more. I wasn't impressed by Buatti's last performance. Albeit he's defending that, saying, look, it was a different opponent, different circumstances. But I think that'll be brilliant. A few other interesting additions to the card. Azam Azim, who's again the next up and coming star, being compared rightfully so in terms of his origins and stuff, and also his style with Nazim Hamid. He's coming up against an undefeated opponent in Poulsen. Don't know a great deal about him, but looking at his record, he's no mug. I think he's had 14 fights, undefeated, and it's his first defence of his European super lightweight title. So it'd be interesting to see if he can make the same statement like he has already, as you do with the likes of fighters like him, and you get your first European title, you start working through the levels. It's interesting to then see if he can still keep blowing people away. The last couple of fights he hasn't been able to, but again, every fight brings him a new challenge. And Ben Whittaker, another massive upcoming fighter who's worth watching. It's a brilliant bill, honestly. And
what's that on? Is it TNT? Is it, or Sky?
I think it's Sky.
Sky, is it?
Yeah, Sky. It is because the gloves are off and everything will be on, so it'll be on Sky. Yeah. And just a shout out to Jack Turner, Scouser from Croxteth, who's making huge waves in boxing. Eddie Earns waxing lyrical over him. He was fighting in Dubai, which is where he trains out of or fights out of quite a lot. Joe Max is trainer as well. He trains out of the Rotunda when he's here. Another big win. I don't know if you've seen it. Jack put it up on his Instagram. Follow Jack Turner if you don't already. Again, if you are a Scouser, it's great to see. But he put the whole of the fight. That's how long the fight was.
It actually made an Instagram reel, did he?
Basically just 3 minutes. It was just 3 minutes on his Instagram. And he just demolishes the lad. He's a Mexican who he fought. Didn't know him, do you know what I mean? He wasn't like a hugely established fighter or nothing. He was, around the same level as Jack in terms of fights. I think he'd maybe have 5 fights. But he's a Mexican, tough as anything, and he absolutely destroyed him. And you could see the minute that he throws punches at a ridiculous rate. But yeah, again,
I'll tell you what, with him and who else am I thinking of? The other Scouse boxer, Nick Ball. Couple of belter
Yeah, I mean,
prospects
Nick Ball's a lot further ahead of him. I think he's fighting next month, isn't he? On an unbelievable bill. He's fighting on that big bill in
Dubai,
Saudi, isn't he?
Saudi, sorry, yeah.
So yeah, again, he's on that pathway though. Very,
no, it's exciting times.
Very ferocious. The Terrier, they call him. Or El Terrier.
Yeah. I've seen Molly McCann as well. Have you seen? She's in unbelievable shape. She's dropped down into a weight division, hasn't she? And she's looking so lean. I'm not sure when her next fight will be. I've seen a photo of her and Eddie Hearn and Dana White, so I'm guessing some news soon. But fair play, she's looking good.
Is she still looking to cross over?
I don't know. Maybe later on, later on. But I think she's set on the UFC. She's dropped down a weight and she's looking unbelievable.
Fair enough, yeah. Good luck to her.
Mate, I've enjoyed this and hope you have too. Don't forget the workshop in Waterloo. It's on Liverpool Road. You got your small plates, 3 plates, $15.95 Thursday till Saturday. From the barbecue, you've got Thursday, you order 2 prime cuts, you get 3 sides and a bottle of wine for 50 quid a couple. A
lovely pint as well, by the way.
It was a lovely pint.
Solid glass.
And what I'm personally going to say is just get down on a Sunday.
Yeah, I will. Absolute belter.
It's really good food. Don't forget IGD if you're into your sports. What you can do, come down here on a Sunday roast, have your Sunday roast, order some gym gear, and then just work it off the next day. You get the best of both worlds, don't you? Yeah, our bets will be up on the Patreon on Saturday.
You've got to make a bit of a joke about that first, so I'll say it.
Go on, yeah.
So Saturday morning,
Gary's idea.
Yeah, it was. I messaged Andy and said, look, let's make it a bit more like collaborative, if you like, and a bit more competitive. From our end,
yeah.
And I said, I'll pick 3 bets. I'll try and do some research. You pick 3 bets. They can choose whether they want to go with one treble, the other treble, mix it up, do a 6-fold, and I absolutely stunk the gaff out.
Massively. Barnsley were going to be 2-0 in 20 minutes or something. I had 2.
I was unlucky at Wigan. Like it was it was a mad one. That they were winning twice. No, they were winning twice. I had double chance, didn't I?
Yeah,
they were winning twice. No.
Oh, wow.
They got beat 3-2.
So I had 2 out of 3 and Blackpool let me down, and the chance that the guy missed.
It was on Sky on
it was it was one of those that it's that bad. They put it on Sky.
Yeah.
Otherwise we would have had to treble in, but
we'll have another go this weekend.
We'll go again this weekend, yeah.
And if I do as badly as I did this weekend, I'll just jib it.
Just take the reins, yeah. We'll let a 6-fold at some point. Listen, massive thanks again for the support. Thanks for your shares, your comments, your likes, and all the messages you send to us. It means a lot, and we'll see you next week.